Right now, the U.S. is vulnerable to an attack that could kill more Americans than World War II. We're talking bioterror here, and that from a new report written by a bipartisan congressional commission saying we are not prepared. The report also saying that while the U.S. may be working hard to keep a nuclear attack at bay, not enough is being done to keep up with the threat of bioterrorism, and the clock is indeed ticking. Joining me now is Colonel Randall Larson, Executive Director of the Commission on the Prevention of Weapons of Mass Destruction, Proliferation, and Terrorism. Colonel Larson, thanks for joining this afternoon. And the details of this report that the Commission has released are shocking because it basically states that the White House, the Obama administration, is not doing enough to safeguard this country from bioterrorism. In your estimation, sir, what should be done right now?
Well, the report has several recommendations in there, and I think our point has been made today is we've had 5 or 6 months warning about H1N1, and it appears we're not prepared for that today. Imagine a biological attack that came with absolutely no warning. We feel that some of the programs that would provide vaccines and therapeutics rapidly and less expensively today are underfunded by a factor of 10. And it's not just the White House, this is the U.S. Congress also that's responsible for this. People do not understand, Kelly, that nuclear terrorism would be a terrible thing if it happened. But this commission, as you said, 5 Democrats, 4 Republicans, said by far a bioterrorism attack is more likely. Unfortunately, there's too many people in this town that hear bioterrorism and they think of 2001, a couple dozen people got sick and 5 died. No, it's as you said, a small terrorist organization could attack a major city and kill in 1 week more than all Americans that died in World War II. That's what this commission's worried about.
In fact, you give a couple of scenarios of how that is likely and how it could happen. The potential is there. Explain for our viewers, if you will, just what could happen.
Well, I'm not going to go into any detail, give anybody ideas, but we've laid it out in the report. And the fact is, it gets easier every day. It's still very hard to for a terrorist to make a nuclear weapon. Yes, it's possible, and we have to do things to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we applaud the action the White House has taken on the nuclear side. But the biological side, because of this biotechnical revolution that's been going on for a decade or so, it gets easier every day. And so with just things that you could buy at the local hardware store, things that you could buy at a local or rent at a local airport, is all a terrorist organization needs. These pathogens exist in nature. Anthrax, Ted Turner had 175 buffalo die on his ranch last year of anthrax because it exists in the soil. It's not hard to get the pathogens. It's not that hard to produce them, and delivery is not that difficult anymore.
The commission's chairman, former Democrat senator from Florida, Bob Graham, says that the consequences of ignoring these warnings could be dire, and he goes on to say that the clock is ticking. Are we running out of time to do the right thing, to step up and actually protect ourselves from this kind of bioterrorism?
Great question, and here's the really key answer to this whole interview. Yes, there is time, but we have to take action now. America needs the capability to produce vaccines and therapeutics rapidly and less expensively. And what better example than H1N1? You know, in 1957, by the end of October, we had 70 million doses of flu vaccine. Now we have about a third of that. Is that progress in 52 years?
Doesn't seem so, sir. Colonel Larson, you're giving us some very sobering thoughts and a wake-up call about this ominous threat of bioterrorism that is still, the potential of it still grasping our country. Colonel Randall Larson, thank you very much for your insights and your report, sir.
Thank you.
Jamie?
Investigators are ramping up their search for a missing Virginia Tech student.